Hi, I'm Elisa Hopper from Timber and Chain, and today I'm making a polymer clay owl that I'll use as a plant stake. I also make these into ornaments, which I'll show in another video. The first thing I do is choose a color palette. My house is all color all the time, which you can see in my Instagram feed, and these little woodland animals are no exception. I use mainly Sculpey Primo, and I do combine it with Sculpey 3, which is super squishy. Experts say not to use it on jewelry, but I like it for bowls and things I want to mold. My main color or base color for these is usually Pearl in Primo, which I have to condition or soften. It cures or bakes with a pearly gray toned white. It's beautiful. Most of these other colors I've actually mixed myself, so I can have lots of shades of the same color. To lighten a color, I add white, and to darken a color, I use a teeny bit of black, or even a little darker shade of that color. This owl is going to be perched kind of off to the side, so I'm going to make room for her wing in a different color. I want the head to be kind of bigger and round with slight indents for the eye area. Then I just swoop his tail around to one side. This one is going to have little eyebrow feathers that I will eventually gold leaf. After I choose my wing color, I form it into the shape of the void in the base clay, and I don't need a lot. I can just add or subtract clay as needed and then just mold it in there. This is the beauty of the squishy Sculpey 3, just smooth over the imperfections. To make the eyes, you need very little clay, just teeny tiny bits. Roll into circles. I use these clay tools in different sizes to make holes for texture. The tools aren't necessary, but they do make life easier. You can use anything with a pointy end, really. I add a lighter color over the top that's even smaller. At this point, I shape the eyebrows and then down into the long beak. I'll be gold leafing over this later, but I want it to be reliefed a little bit. Now for the texture. Texture is my favorite part of these. You can add anything you want here with any tool you can find, and the options are endless. I'm going to use the back end of my smallest pointy tool to add little circle shapes. I like to use very technical names like this. With the larger tool, I'll shape some feathers a bit. I press down in a line and slightly dig upward at the end. While this is happening, take a second to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and turn on notifications for more DIY videos. Time for the eyebrows. I'm going to use a similar technique to the wing, this time pulling outward for a flare look. I touch up any smudges or mistakes, and then I cure it, otherwise known as baking in an oven, at 275 degrees for about 45 minutes. Bake on parchment paper on a baking sheet. When it's finished curing, take it out of the oven and then let it cool completely. Glazing and gold leafing are obviously optional, but I like the look. It gives the clay a little extra. I use Sculpey satin glaze for these, but Sculpey gloss glaze works just as well. Try not to leave any glaze puddles because they'll dry a little bit milky. The glaze only takes a few minutes to dry, and I never wait long enough because I'm too excited to finish them. For gold leafing fine lines, I use a script brush. My liquid leaf is by Plaid, and I use classic gold. There's no right or wrong way to gold leaf, but before you begin, it needs to be shaken or stirred. Ha! Where's my martini? The liquid gold leaf takes a few hours to completely dry. I didn't let this one dry completely, so it gets a little bit messy. If you happen to make that mistake, you can rub off the gold leaf with fine grit sandpaper, but you'll need to glaze, let dry, and gold leaf again. You'll also sand off a little bit of the texture, so I opted not to fix it. It's going in my plants and they don't care. Time for drilling. Most clay artists use a Dremel or a small drilling tool specifically for clay, but my power drill works just as well, and I have every size drill bit imaginable. To be sure I don't crack the clay, I drill slowly and carefully, stopping often to make sure I have a straight angle. For the stake, I went to a home improvement store and got a spool of 12-gauge steel wire. To cut it, I used my husband's heavy-duty wire cutters out of his Jeep toolbox because my jewelry tools won't cut wire that thick. Then I straighten the wire with my hands and with pliers, fit it into the spot we drilled on the owl, and he's all ready for my plants. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and are inspired to make your own garden decor. This little guy and tons more can be found on my website at timberandchain.com or in my Etsy shop at timberandchain.etsy.com. And you can find all these detailed instructions on my blog at timberandchain.com/blog. Thanks for watching. Now go make something amazing.